She was humiliated and kicked out of a luxury hotel lobby, not because of a mistake, but because a front desk clerk named Brad judged her by her appearance, not her position. He saw a woman who didn't look like she belonged and decided to make her invisible. But Vanessa Coleman wasn't just any guest, she was the CEO of the company that owned the building. And just wait until you see how she walked back in and turned the entire situation upside down. Vanessa Coleman stepped through the glass doors of the Fairmont Grand like she'd done it 100 times before. Her stride was calm, confident, the kind of walk that doesn't demand attention but always gets it. Her tailored navy pantsuit hugged her frame with quiet precision, the red soles of her heels clicking against the marble floor like a metronome of purpose. She wasn't there to be seen. She was there to observe. A surprise visit. One of her logistics firms, part of a massive national chain, had recently relocated their Texas branch nearby. Vanessa believed in showing up when least expected. No assistance, no press, just presence. But presence wasn't enough. As she approached the concierge desk, she caught the eyes of a few guests lounging nearby. Some gave her that brief glance, the kind that people give when they're unsure whether to greet you or avoid you. She nodded politely and stepped up to the counter. Behind it stood a man in a crisp vest and smug certainty. His name tag read Brad. His smile didn't reach his eyes. Before she could speak, he did. "Ma'am," he said, with the soft patience of someone used to giving instructions he didn't expect to be questioned, "the lounge is reserved for hotel guests only." Vanessa tilted her head, just slightly. "Good. I am one. Reservations under Coleman." Brad didn't reach for the computer, didn't ask for her ID. He just let out a breath, almost a chuckle, and said, "That's unlikely. The penthouse floor is executive only." Vanessa's voice didn't rise. It never did. "And I'm the executive." She produced her ID, government-issued, embossed, corporate level, and laid it gently on the counter. Brad didn't even look at it. Instead, he gave a short nod to someone behind her. "Security," he called, still watching her like she'd wandered in from the wrong side of a locked door. "Please escort this woman out. She's not authorized to be here." There was no scene, no shouting, no resistance. But there was something worse. Two guards flanked her without a word. The kind of silence that speaks of habit, that tells you this isn't the first time someone like her has been treated like this. She could feel the heat rise, not on her skin, but behind her eyes. But she kept her composure. She always did. "I suggest you double-check the name," she said quietly. "You're making a mistake." Brad folded his arms. "We're done here." And just like that, Vanessa Coleman, CEO, investor, self-made powerhouse, was walked out the front door like an intruder. The Texas sun hit hard, not as hard as the stairs. A woman in designer sunglasses pulled out her phone, pretending to scroll but very much recording. A man near the valet raised an eyebrow, leaned in to whisper something. No one stopped them. No one spoke up. And as the glass doors shut behind her, the heat on her skin was nothing compared to what burned underneath it. She wasn't shocked. She was used to being mistaken. But she had never been dismissed like this on grounds she partially owned. That was about to change. 10 minutes. That's all it took for everything to shift. Outside the Fairmont Grand, the hotel's doorman straightened his posture as a sleek black Escalade pulled up to the curb with a smooth, soundless stop. The engine barely had time to exhale before the door swung open. Vanessa Coleman stepped out first. No longer alone. Her executive assistant followed, calm and unreadable. Behind them came her head of operations, clipboard in hand. Then two men in dark suits, both board members, both silent, but the look in their eyes said they knew exactly why they were here. One of them, gray at the temples and clearly accustomed to backroom negotiations, leaned toward her. "You really want to go through with this?" he asked softly. Vanessa didn't even look at him. She adjusted the cuff of her blazer, then smoothed the front of her suit, the same one she'd been escorted out in just minutes ago. "I'm not here to make a point," she said quietly. "I'm here to make a correction." With that, she walked back through the glass doors, this time not as a guest, as an owner. The lobby hadn't changed, but the air had. The same guests were still scattered around, glancing up. A few recognized her. One even put her phone down. The manager on duty, a younger woman in a navy blazer and name tag that trembled slightly as she stepped forward, moved fast to intercept. "Miss Coleman, I'm so sorry," she began. "I believe there's been a misunderstanding." "There was no misunderstanding," Vanessa said calmly, without raising her voice. Her tone sliced through the air like a cold breeze in summer. "What happened earlier wasn't a clerical error. It was a judgment call, a bad one, based not on facts, not on reservations, but on assumptions about my gender, about my skin, and about what someone like me is supposed to look like." The manager's face flushed. Vanessa continued, her voice steady. "Let me be clear, I wasn't here to conduct business. Not originally. I was here as a guest, quietly, respectfully. But since your staff made that impossible..." She turned now, deliberately, to the front desk. Brad was still there, the same posture, but now the smugness was gone. His hands rested awkwardly on the counter, and his face had gone pale. "We'll do business instead." She took a step closer. "My company, Summit North Group, holds controlling interest in the fund that acquired this hotel chain last quarter. I had no intention of making that public, until 10 minutes ago." Brad swallowed hard. Vanessa looked him in the eye. Her voice dropped into silence, the kind of silence that carries farther than shouting ever could. "You," she said, pointing with precision, "are terminated, effective immediately. Turn in your badge, leave the property." He opened his mouth. No words came. Security didn't need instructions. They were already walking toward him, slowly this time, cautiously, as if unsure who they were meant to protect now. Vanessa turned back to the manager. "Expect an internal audit, full review of hiring and conduct policies, and prepare for retraining, top to bottom." The manager could only nod. Vanessa didn't need to stay. She had done what she came to do. But as she turned to leave, she glanced around the lobby one more time. The stares weren't the same now. They weren't confused. They were stunned. They had seen something rare. Not revenge. Authority, delivered with elegance. The lobby felt different now. The murmur of quiet conversations, the hum of the air conditioning, all of it had faded into an almost unnatural stillness. Every eye was on them. Brad stood frozen behind the desk, his lips parting in disbelief. You can't do that. You're not..." Before he could finish, a firm voice came from just over Vanessa's shoulder. "She absolutely can." It was one of the board members, tall, silver hair, presence that filled the space. He stepped forward just enough for his words to carry. "Vanessa Coleman is the CEO of Summit North Group. We hold controlling interest in the fund that owns this hotel chain. What she says is final." The statement landed like a gavel. Brad's mouth closed. From the corner, the same two security guards who had escorted Vanessa out earlier now stood uncertain. Their posture had shifted, no longer assertive, almost hesitant. They glanced between each other, waiting for someone to tell them what to do. Vanessa turned back to face them, her tone measured, not hostile. "You followed orders without hesitation earlier, and in doing so, you participated in an act that was not only wrong, but public. You humiliated a guest without verifying a single fact." Neither man spoke. She continued, steady and precise. "Report to HR within the hour. If you cooperate during the review, there may be a chance for reassignment. That's the best I can offer." They both nodded, small, almost mechanical movements, and stepped back. Around them, the guests had stopped what they were doing entirely. Conversations had died, glasses of champagne sat untouched on tables. A few people had their phones out, cameras angled discreetly, recording every moment. Vanessa let her gaze travel across the room, meeting eyes without flinching. And then she addressed them all. "This isn't about revenge," she said, her voice even, each word deliberate. "This is about accountability, about responsibility for the way we treat people, all people. You never truly know who is standing in front of you. Never assume someone's value based on your own bias. Because one day," she let the pause stretch, the silence doing the work for her, "the woman you try to remove might just be the one who owns the building you're standing in." No one moved. No one spoke. The truth of it hung there, heavy, undeniable. And in that silence, Vanessa turned and began walking toward the exit, leaving the weight of her words behind for everyone to carry. By nightfall, the footage had already gone viral. Not because Vanessa shared it. She didn't. It was someone else, a guest in the lobby, who captured just a minute of the moment, just enough to feel the shift in power, the weight of justice being served with silence instead of shouting. 12 million views in a single day. News outlets ran the headline, "Black CEO takes control in the lobby that tried to shut her out." Social media called her a symbol, a force, a new kind of leader. But for Vanessa Coleman, it wasn't about any of that. It was never about applause. That moment in the lobby wasn't about making a scene. It was about keeping a promise. A promise she made long ago, sitting in the back of a booth with her mother at a chain diner, after being told, again, "I'm sorry, that section's reserved." She was just a girl then, 8, maybe 9, too young to fully understand, but old enough to feel the burn of being made small. And she remembered what she told herself. "One day, I'll build something so big they can't look away. So powerful, they'll have no choice but to let us in." And now, here she was. Not because she fought louder, not because she played by someone else's rules, but because she held her ground, with poise, with power, with precision. She hadn't raised her voice, she had raised her standards. And through that one moment, captured on a phone, shared around the world, she showed an entire generation something rare. That injustice doesn't always crumble with rage. Sometimes it shatters beneath the weight of quiet, undeniable truth. Vanessa didn't need the world's recognition, but the world recognized her anyway. And somewhere, in some quiet corner, another little girl saw that clip and whispered her own promise.